Hello, everybody. I think we are live. We have finally arrived at our final session of Highlight Spark. Congratulations on making it this far. It's been a long day of learnings, which was hopefully rewarding in and of itself, but we did want to reward you for making it this far with a little treat for you at the end with a fun one. As summer is upon us, we couldn't help but wonder what will be the beverage flavor of the summer. And since this is Highlight, we decided to simply pull our community of product testers. So before we kick things off and reveal the results, um, I want to introduce my colleague, Emma Steele, who's joining me today. She's our Disruptive Brands Partnerships lead. And one of my favorite work besties, also a very important part of your JD. Emma, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited for this session. Big beverage girl myself. As Chelsea shared, I head up our partnerships with brands who are emerging as disruptors in their categories, and I'm here to support as they continue to grow and scale. So my personal background's in behavioral economics, so really understanding more about like trade-offs that consumers are willing to make and kind of what the purchase decision journey looks like is what gets me really excited about market research. And so, for example, choosing what beverage to have on a hot summer day when there are a plethora of choices. So, really looking forward to the conversation.
Love it. Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. Lest I forget to introduce myself, my name is Chelsea Stone. I'm Senior Manager of Content and Digital Marketing here at Highlight. One big part of my job here as content creator is producing reports based on original data that we source from our awesome community of product testers. So we're actually going to start just by explaining a little bit to you about who they are and the research that we did today. So if you worked with us before, you've probably heard us use the term highlighter. That's the term that we use to refer to members of our product testing community nationwide. And we love them so much. They're really a bedrock of what we do here. They are instrumental in giving us high quality data results. And they're used to doing all sorts of testing, right? I mean, they're used to doing like daily video diaries of their usage of a product over the course of 2 weeks to test efficacy, right? So me sending them out this 8-question survey with, mostly quant and a couple of open-ended, this was a walk in the park for them. And so we were able to get 2,000 completes in just a day or two, which was awesome. And we collected this data in the first week of May. Emma, before we move on, anything you want to add about how great our highlighter community is?
No, I think you covered it there. But I'm always happy to answer any different questions. So if you have them, drop them in the chat. Feel free to reach out to me directly. So let's dive in.
Yeah, let's do it. So why are we talking about beverage today? If you're in the CPG world at all, this probably feels obvious. I think all of CPG is a really exciting place to work. I love that we have the privilege of being able to enjoy the fruits of our labors every time we walk into like our local grocery store or convenience store. Like I personally get really excited walking down the aisle and seeing like the latest flavor innovation from Oreo or Goldfish. And I think all of us in the industry, like we have that enthusiasm around it. And beverage, especially right now, is just booming for that. I mean, we know it's growing ridiculously fast, but we also, in the last two bullet points here on this slide, focus on two of the biggest biggest drivers of growth in beverage today. So obviously, the consumer demand for better for you is really driving this proliferation of subcategories within beverage, which is so cool to see. Just off the top of my head, right, we can name probably like 20 different new categories: kombuchas, gut healthy sodas, CBD infused drinks, seltzers, sparkling waters, right? It's just such a fun time to be in beverage. And then, of course, we also see the proliferation of ready-to-drink beverages, which is so fun. And in fact, I really think I have a pet theory that I'm going to share with you all today as to why I think this is such a driver for beverage. And that is what I like to call treat yourself culture. If you are online into 2025, if you're on TikTok or Instagram or what have you, you are seeing these memes of people talking about giving themselves a little treat, right? And I really think beverage is a really big part of that because the joke is not that we're going out and buying these like $500 presents for ourselves, right? We're just giving ourselves like a little something to, help us through the day. So Emma, you're online. Like, do you think my theory holds any water?
Yes, absolutely. You are right. I am chronically online, and it just makes me think of this trend that's kind of like the peak of luxury is having three different drinks at once. So think like an iced water, like a coffee, or like a juice or a soda or something of that kind. And so I think these are ways that we see the economic climate kind of seeping into how consumers purchase products of really wanting to have something that feels like I'm treating myself and I'm um, indulging in luxury, but without actually having that spendy price tag. I think it's kind of another version of like lipstick effect. For those who might be familiar, it's kind of that economic phenomenon where consumers, especially women, are kind of increase spending on more of like affordable luxury goods like lipstick in different economic climates as opposed to some of those like more higher luxury items. And so really excited. I think we have some data around how we think beverage is playing into this, but yeah, I definitely see that as a trend.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue to some of the initial findings of this study. We asked people how often they are buying canned beverages that are new to them. And we also compared that to a couple of other categories as well, like personal care or beauty, like you pointed out, Emma. And beverage was high up on the list in terms of like frequency with which people are trying new products. People say that they're trying new products 1 to 2 times a month within beverage. 44% of people said they're trying them that multiple times a month. Another 20% on top of that said that they're trying them multiple times a week, which is just incredible to me. But also, like I said, not that surprising. What I think is also not surprising but exciting to see is that Gen Z is really leading the way in this, and especially Gen Z women, who a third of which say they're out here multiple times a week buying new canned beverages that are new to them. So Emma, as a Gen Z woman, what is your reaction to seeing these numbers?
Yeah, I mean, none of this data really surprises me. I think it's right in alignment with where I would expect it to have landed. I would say, in terms of kind of new beverage trial, buying a soda is so low risk, right? It's something that you can afford for it not to be good. There's so many other items that you can buy that are at a higher price point that have such a much higher level of risk, I guess you could say. And again, we're still talking about beverages, so it's not that much. But I even think of like it's really painful to buy a cocktail for $18. I live in New York City, so maybe that's overinflated. But if that is not good, that is a really sad experience for me. But if I'm spending, $3 on a soda and it's not the best, it's such a low trial, but it still gives me kind of that serotonin hit of, having the surprise and the delight of hopefully liking the product. And if I don't, like it's no sweat off my back. So I think that given the risk of trial is so much lower compared to other categories, that this rate of net new purchase really tracks.
Awesome. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Also, where are you finding $18 cocktails? I feel like they're $25 here in Brooklyn. So maybe I need to travel
We've
to
got
your
some good
neighborhood.
spots on the Upper East Side.
Okay, now let's dive into the moment that we've all been waiting for. Um, well, I get Emma to guess the answers and have her talk us through her logic and guesses. I'm going to launch polls so that everyone watching can participate and cast their vote. So the options that I presented here for the question, have you tried any of the following brands, were chosen based on what we here in the CPG world, in our little CPG bubble, we're reading about these brands in the trades. They're getting a lot of buzz. There's a lot of PR around them. They're parts of exciting new emerging categories. And I was wondering, like, okay, outside of this bubble nationwide, are people actually trying these products? So I'm going to open the poll, and while everyone's casting their vote, Emma, I wonder what you think the winning brands are going to be from this particular question.
Yeah, I think I would guess Poppy or Olipop, just because I feel like I'm seeing them everywhere. I think anything, honestly, with the name Pop in it just feels like it's so buzzy. But I also think that there's some sneaky brands in here. Like Sunsip comes from the Health Aid Kombucha brand, and so having that name, whether or not the consumer knows it, there's things that help in terms of like distribution and just trust and the quality of it. So I could see that rising to the top as well. But yeah, I don't know. I think that all of the brands on here, when I think about them, they all have kind of a different identity and almost a different like mood or occasion or purpose that I would be thinking about when I try them. So I'm really curious to see what people are wanting to try on more and if that relates to them thinking about it in a different occasion or a different capacity. So I have
Yeah,
no idea. I have not seen any of the results for this. I'm coming into this completely blind. I've never even seen this slide before. So
I love that so much. Yeah, no, all very educated guesses. Just so everyone is clear, if you are looking at the chat and you go up to the tabs at the top, you can see chat, messages, and then poll. And make sure that you click on the poll to take that if you haven't yet. So I'm going to close it for now just for the sake of time, but we're going to be doing about 7 more of these. So you'll have your chance to vote. So let's see if the audience agreed with you. All right. Yes, so it looks like the results are in, and Poppy. Everyone guessed Poppy. Olipop came in second. We had a couple other votes here and there for some sips, Tepache, Recess. So let's just dive into the results here, because you all are very smart members of the CPG world. You knew it was going to be Poppy and Olipop. But everything else sort of surprised me about these results. Like I wasn't surprised to see Poppy and Olipop towards the top, but surprised to see Zevia as number 3. Had no idea that they had such wide distribution nationwide. Interesting that a lot of people, the 4th most popular answer was that people hadn't tried any of these brands yet. And then we see the fallout from there. So anything that surprises you here, Emma, you want to react to before we move on?
yeah, it's really interesting to see how you see it so weighted on the left-hand side of this graph and then it really plateaus out, which just shows you that there's so much opportunity to really, get in there and be another one of the brands that people could potentially try, but it also shows you how competitive and how saturated the category is. I'm actually not super surprised by Zevia. I feel like I've recently been at grocery stores and like seen people checking out with them and just like observationally, like that's something I have picked up on. But I think it's also one of those things where we're all CPG innovators. We're all thinking about these beverages, but there's a lot of people that are just, middle America or just kind of more of a Gen Pop audience who isn't all in on the better for you beverage craze yet. We feel like we're so far ahead of the curve and we're kind of in it when it's happening, but it's still something that is continuing to evolve. And so, people are maybe just finding out about Poppy because of, the acquisition, but we've been knowing about Poppy for years, right? So definitely a good reality check maybe for some of us, but really interesting to see how the rest of the data continues to come back.
So I'm going to open another poll because the question that we asked after that, and I want you guys to weigh in on as well, is okay. So maybe a lot of people have heard of these brands, but they actually haven't had a chance to try it simply because like it's not distributed to their grocery store of choice, or it's not available in their region for whatever reason. So I'm curious. I've opened the poll so everyone can go and cast their vote. We asked people. Okay, which of these, if you haven't tried them, are you most excited to try? And Emma, I'd be curious to hear what you think your guess is going to be for this one, because of course the results are a little bit different.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of comes back to like if it's everywhere, are people going to try it? I just think about this because the Whole Foods that I live by here on the Upper East Side, there's just this massive Poppy display. Like it is truly like probably hundreds of cans just like put together in a tower, and like it's like, well, yeah, like what is this brand that's doing this crazy exhibit here in the middle of my shopping journey doing? So I think things that are like able to be like right there in front are things that people are going to try most often. But I think on the point of trialing new and different beverages at such a high frequency, once you've tried Poppy, you're probably not going to want to try a bunch of other flavors from them. I think you're probably going to want to go try other brands. I know that that's the way that I am. Once I've had a flavor from one brand, I'm not going to go trial the whole line. I want to go try a new brand altogether. That's
Interesting.
how I shop, but I don't know if that's That's just a
I was
side
gonna
note.
say you're in the CPG world because you're trying to try all these different brands, but maybe like the average highlighter is like, oh, I
Mhm.
found one I like, so I'm going to keep buying that brand. Like, it's just
Right.
so hard to tell. So,
I'm
anyway,
high risk on my decisions for beverages, I guess.
well, I'm going to close the poll and show you guys the results. Guesses were all over the board here, so interesting to see everyone's votes. But let's reveal what it was. Bloom Pop was the
Mhm.
top brand that people hadn't tried yet and they wanted to. I mean, my best guess is that Bloom as a brand with its other products has so much nationwide recognition. It's
Totally
in
agree.
Targets across, yeah. So maybe people like knowing they have this new product coming out, they're excited for. But yeah, I thought I was really surprised to see that because it is so new, but people are already hearing about it. Maybe it's just that brand familiarity they already have. What do you think?
I totally agree. I think something else, it feels like energy, particularly energy that's leaning towards a more like feminine kind of audience that's going after a different consumer than like a Red Bull or a Monster traditionally has. It's really emerging and it's kind of where Better For You soda was like maybe a few years ago. So you have like Bloom and Ollie New and all of these other different players that have come up and are kind of talking to a different audience. And so have had a lot of opportunity to capture consumers there. And so knowing again that there's a product that they trust in another category, they're more likely to probably try it. I think something else just kind of across CPG that I'm seeing, not specific to soda, is just how brands are using their brand equity to jump across aisles. And so
Mm.
brands that are moving across different categories or across different product types or even formats. I think there's some great examples of people ending up, hey, your product is normally shelf stable and now you have a frozen product in the frozen aisle and you're not doing brand blocking anymore on shelf. And so there's a lot of interesting things that are happening where we're seeing that familiarity with a brand is really driving the ability to trial. So just some
It's a
thoughts
really good
there.
point. No, it's a really good point. I was also, just to add, I was delighted to see Hayo on this list. I know it's not the top one, but I do think that it's one of the first brands I've seen really break out of this niche of like functional non-alcoholic. And, I think they just got an injection of funding, like to see them moving out of, their home base of California and maybe they're not available nationwide yet, but clearly people have heard of them and they're excited to try it. So cool to see that niche like growing in a meaningful way. So if you're a retailer watching, like please write down all of these brands. You should clearly have them on your shelves. All right, I'm going to move on to our next question here. One of the open-ended questions that we had after these questions were like, so if what other brands or drinks have you tried, canned drinks specifically, have you tried that you really enjoyed? The number one like written in answer was Spindrift. So John from our previous session will be very pleased to hear that. But it was really fun to see what people were writing in with so much enthusiasm. One thing that I guess didn't surprise me is that we saw so many energy drinks written in, and I think for us here in our CPG bubble, we almost don't really think of energy drinks as like an emerging category anymore because they've been around for so many years, but consumers still have that much loyalty and enthusiasm for them. Another one that I wanted to call out too was there was quite a few people that were very excited about 7-Up's Endless Summer line. And I had to do some more digging because I hadn't heard of it, but there's even like subreddits that are like so stoked writing about like, where could I find 7-Up's Endless Summer? So shout out to the team behind that product. You have some very excited consumers. We also had what I'm calling the sleeper hits. So these weren't mentioned quite as often, but there were still some vocal supporters in these open-ended responses. So Day Trip was mentioned quite a few times. Evolution Fresh, I didn't know they had a canned beverage. I thought they were bottled juices. So that was cool to see. Hum. And then the one that really stood out to me, though, was so many people wrote in the Aldi drink, like literally just said the Aldi drink, and doing a little bit more digging and seeing some people mentioned like, oh, Vitalife. And if you are a brand looking to get into these retailers that already have a private label sparkling gut healthy soda, your work is cut out for you. I thought this was very interesting to see how many people were excited about Vitalife. Emma, did you want to add anything about the challenge we have with and the opportunity
Yeah.
with private label?
Yeah, I think it's a really important call out from consumers that they're talking about or like associating it with a retailer in that way, even though it's being, of course, branded as Vitalife. I think just something in general that we see across all of CPG in this current economic climate is just sort of the trading down and trading up phenomenon. And so right now, there's a lot of consumers that are trading down from a restaurant experience to have a premium experience in home. But if consumers are normally buying more name brand or name brand or more like middle of the road kind of products, then they might be trading down towards a private label. And so, with the incentive that retailers have for their private label products to win on shelf, it can be even harder for brands to really compete and win new distribution. And so really being able to showcase and have the data to prove that your product is going to win on shelf, even up against a tough private label product. That's, and I think something too we talk a lot about is replaceability. The specific metric that retailers are looking for is so crucial just to prove that, yes, we think that this will be not just something incremental, but we think that consumers are actually going to change their purchasing behavior based on this. That's something that we really want to pay special attention to if you are not a retailer and you are a brand that is looking to get shelf space in a really, really competitive, saturated category.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the amount of times that we've talked about how saturated beverages is a category.
I know.
It's true. It's
Chelsea,
so
Chelsea and I
competitive.
sometimes, given that we are work besties, sometimes we'll walk to the Whole Foods that's right by the Highlight office, and we'll get ourselves a little treat, as Chelsea was saying, and just walking through the beverage aisle. It's crazy just the amount of options that you have, which is really exciting, but also it's also
Yeah,
something that really forces a lot of choice from the consumer.
absolutely. So I am excited for the main event here. This is what we're all here for, right? To find out exactly what the flavor of the summer is going to be. To be clear, in the question, this is exactly how it was posed to them. I just gave the names of the flavors. I didn't attach it to any picture or like brand names. It was just based on flavor alone. What appeals to you the most? I've opened the poll, so I can't wait to hear what everyone thinks is going to be the winning flavor. Emma, do you want to weigh in with what your guess is?
Yeah. I'm immediately thinking, since this is flavor of the summer, I'm thinking something that's forward. I think strawberry is something that's really drawing to me. The strawberry guava combination, I'm not so sure about, but I think strawberry in general is just really trending right now. We do, of course, a ton of work here at Highlight across all CPG product categories and have been doing a lot of work recently in fragrance and personal care. And we've been seeing this like strawberry scent really come out on top and really be a winner. And so I think it's interesting when you see that's also something that's trending across consumables. So I think that might be interesting. But I also think it's kind of feels like it's been the year of the Shirley Temple getting cool again. A lot of brands coming out with different versions of that after, we had the 7-Up Shirley Temple come back as an LTO. Maybe it's not an LTO anymore, but
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of coming out to compete with that. So I think
Exactly.
those are my initial thoughts, but I don't know. There's so many different ways it could go. I've been seeing so much on social media, so I'm curious to see what the audience had to say.
Well, here's the poll results. Everyone agrees with you that we're having the summer of Shirley Temple. And honestly, going into this, like we were just coming off of Beverage Forum out in California, and yeah, I think every
Mhm.
session there mentioned Shirley Temple. So let's without further ado, let's go straight to the results here. What kind of summer are we having? It's orange cream.
Ooh,
Yeah.
my goodness. I love
So
that.
I know. I was surprised in a good way that orange cream topped the charts. Here, let's look at the full results here. So, not far behind was cherry vanilla, which is really
Mm.
interesting. Not a lot of people mentioned cherry vanilla in their guesses here today, but yeah, those top three were pretty strong: orange cream, cherry vanilla, strawberry guava. Shirley Temple coming in at a kind of distant four. So I think that's really
Mm.
interesting. I was very surprised. What do you think, Emma?
Yeah, I think you really see like the fruit forward versus more of like a floral forward, which I think is interesting. There is some key takeaways that I had from John of Spindrift session that happened before this. There'll be a recording, go watch it. It was awesome. But just talking about kind of this idea of like how do we bring like cocktail or like more traditional cocktail flavors into like beverages and sodas and non-alc opportunities. And so actually seeing that that's not something that people wanted to be their beverage of the summer, even though we have things like, oh, it's, people are saying it's the summer of the Hugo Spritz. And, that's an elderflower base, but yuzu
Yeah,
elderflower performs the worst on all of this. So I'm actually really
I
surprised to
know.
see that.
And it's my
Um,
favorite.
yeah, I'm surprised it's not higher up. I'm not surprised at all by like raspberry rose. I am surprised that Shirley Temple isn't higher. I think cherry vanilla and orange cream and are right where I would have expected them to be top. I personally am not a huge guava fan. So maybe it was strawberry cream, I could see that beating out orange cream. So maybe that's an idea for someone to take.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So, I'm still mourning my yuzu elderflower coming to last place. Just so everyone knows, this is a flavor of Cann, Cann. It's a great beverage, and even though it lost the flavor today, you should all go try it. Okay, next fun game here. We are going to guess what the top winners were amongst these key cohorts. So, in case you don't know, this is Gen Z women. So it's women on the top row, men on the bottom, and then of course each column is the generation. So we're going to start, Emma, with your cohort, Gen Z women. Which flavor do you think won specifically among them?
This is a question to me. Oh
It
gosh.
sure is. I
I don't
know.
even
And I'm going
remember
to
all
open
the.
it. I'm going to open the poll for everyone else too, just so that if you want to weigh in, you can.
Oh my gosh, this is a lot of pressure.
But yeah, the pressure's on Emma. You're the Gen Z woman here.
I'm gonna go. I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm inspired by the Sabrina Carpenter graphic that you shared, but I'm gonna go orange cream because I feel like Gen Z women, as we know, are the ones who are primarily driving the trial of new beverages, and so I'm making an educated guess that if they are also the highest shoppers in this
Well,
category, then maybe they are also over indexing on the top flavor.
it would be a good guess. Here, let me close this quick. And it looks like the audience agrees with you, but you would all be wrong. It is in fact cherry vanilla. But what you would be correct
Interesting.
about, Gen Z men preferred orange cream. So
Hmm.
that cracked me up. Let me open again for millennial
Sorry, can I say
women.
something really? Yeah, I know that we're doing the
Please
polling
go for
now,
it.
but
No, no, no,
something that
go
I
for
think
it.
is also really interesting is when you think about what are people's favorites, so much of it has to do with brand identity. I was just reading an article about this morning
Mm,
of like the
yes,
Olipop cherry vanilla is a very feminine packaging, like cherry,
yes.
strawberry, kind of all fruit forward imagery is like very much something that is trending just in kind of wider world, not just in CPG. And so that feels like a very girly, like Gen Z kind of drink that you might have versus the orange cream.
Hmm.
Like it almost is like, almost looks like beer
Yeah,
glasses like clinking. So like that almost
yeah,
has more like male connotations with it, just traditionally. But of course, like I think that those are interesting, like visual cues that can kind of
yes.
lead people to go down one path or the other versus a Sabrina Carpenter with orange cream is very for the gals.
No, 100%. Branding matters tremendously. But what would be your guess for millennial women? As your
Oh
as your millennial counterpart, which one do you think I would choose?
gosh, I don't know. Something like grapefruit tangerine or ginger lemonade. No, I'm just kidding. No, those both actually sound great. I feel like I don't know. I feel like grapefruit, like a Paloma kind of vibe. People like I would maybe raspberry
Mhm.
rose. I'm gonna go raspberry rose. Just feels good.
Okay, so funny. Yeah, and I just closed the poll. You can see that no one really knows. And if I love a Paloma, but no, the results showed that millennial women want strawberry blossom.
Oh, oh my
Yeah,
goodness. Okay.
isn't that interesting? And then
Yeah.
millennial men, they want orange cream.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Do you wanna guess Gen X women?
Gosh, I feel
Like
like I've
rapid
had such a
fire.
bad track record on this. I
It's
promise I work
fine.
in the industry.
Yep.
I need to know.
This is why we have highlight, because we cannot
Maybe
guess.
maybe
So
this one's raspberry rose. Someone's got to have raspberry rose as their top. Oh
nope,
my God.
sorry.
No
And
way.
in fact, the men also like orange cream.
Wow. Okay. Really interesting.
What about boomer
Okay.
women? Do you think they have something different?
I think there's Shirley Temple.
I think that's a really good guess, but again, you're wrong. So it is actually cherry vanilla. I know, but
Wow.
men
Really
across the
interesting to
board.
see how that mirrors.
Yes, I know.
Wow. Okay. Really
I
interesting
know.
to see how that mirrors. I
Hmm.
would have been really curious to know what Gen Alpha would have said for this,
I
because again, I know
know.
like as I was referring to earlier around the strawberry, that's a flavor like scent that I know is really trending across younger generations. So I'm curious to know how everything would have netted out with that inclusion. But
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
well, the men know what they want, I suppose.
Okay. Just for fun now, we're gonna guess. What do you think Whole Foods shopper versus Costco shoppers prefer for their favorite flavors?
This is again a question for me. Okay. I
This
was
is for you.
okay. I'm thinking this is I think a Costco shopper is I'm gonna go cherry vanilla on Costco, and I'm gonna go
Okay.
Whole Foods. I'm gonna
Mhm.
go um I don't know. I haven't seen any of these other flavors that we were talking about, like peach ginger, watermelon mint really rise to the top, but that is something that I would think
Well,
of
let
for
me
more.
tell you that you're wrong about
Okay,
Costco.
just tell me that I'm wrong. Okay, just tell me that I'm wrong for Whole Foods, the other one you would guess.
Okay. Well, no, take a guess. Choose one of them for Whole Foods.
Okay, raspberry rose. Someone has to be raspberry rose.
I'm so sorry to tell you that it's
Okay.
strawberry guava.
Wow. Okay. I've been sleeping on the Hio and the strawberry guava. Okay.
Yeah, to be clear, like I said, I didn't present the brands. I just presented the
Gotcha.
names of the flavors. So yeah, it wasn't
Okay.
necessarily that like they were choosing that based on that. But this one was really fun. What do we
Ooh.
think? California highlighters versus New York highlighters preferred in terms of flavors. And I will open the poll for our attendees to guess here.
Okay. For this one, I'm gonna guess California is gonna be strawberry guava. That's giving California to me.
Uh-huh.
And for New York, I'm gonna guess cherry vanilla.
Okay, so the poll that's open right now, oh, I love this, is for California. So if you haven't voted yet, please do. All right, 4, 3, 2, 1. Poll is closing. Okay, so you were absolutely right. It was strawberry guava for California.
Okay.
It just because we're running short on time here. Let me tell you that New York was orange cream.
Oh,
I know
sleeping on
orange
orange
cream is
cream. I'm
taking
gonna
the
have to
country by storm.
go. I need a bevy now.
I know, I know, right? So I'm going to skip through these last few slides. We did top three flavors amongst Spanish speakers. Orange cream was number three. Cherry vanilla was number two. Strawberry guava was number one amongst those who speak
Mhm.
Spanish. I was just using fun with our segments at this point. I was like, okay, what about people who exercise every day versus those who never exercise? Exercisers liked the cherry vanilla. Inactive people preferred the orange cream.
Interesting.
This was
Okay.
literally me playing around in the highlight platform, seeing what I could segment for. Dog people versus cat people.
So me
Uh,
versus you. Just kidding.
yeah, you like cherry vanilla. I like orange cream. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's really interesting to see how these flavors really, really rise to the top.
yes. Well,
I'm really curious how a strawberry vanilla would perform, or like other flavors that are
mm,
like different pairings of vanilla. There's some flavors that
yeah,
wouldn't work. Watermelon vanilla, no thank you, but really
right.
interesting. Um,
100%. So just some quick takeaways before we end the day here. Clearly orange cream, strawberry guava, and cherry vanilla, even though orange cream was on top, these three are having hot girl summers. So but after the day that we've had, I think everyone's probably in the mood to run out and grab a beverage. But yeah, I'm excited to hear what everyone thinks about these flavors. another key takeaway, like I said earlier, if you're a retailer or you work for one of these brands that people said they wanted to try, make sure that you are getting these brands on your shelf. The people are crying for them. And finally, if you can tell from those open ends, right? I had a thought in mind when I was putting out these nominees for brands that I thought people wanted to try, like Hayo and Sunsip and what have you. But what we saw from those open ends is that people don't care about the difference between like a sparkling water or like an energy drink. They're just walking into a store and they're looking for something delicious. So remembering that you are competing with the entire beverage category for share of mouth is so important for success on shelf. So anyway, before we end the day, Emma, is there any parting words you want to give us before I go into our little outro here?
I don't think so. I just totally agree with what you're saying about share of mouth. Sometimes you walk into a bodega or a grocery store and, I know I want a beverage, but I don't know what it's going to end up be. This just happened to me last week. I was visiting family in Florida and I walked into a Publix and I thought I was going to go in and get some sort of a coconut water or something really hydrating. And I walked away with, a probiotic soda and also a
Mm-hmm.
kombucha, like, things that I wasn't expecting to go in for, but those were things that kind of stood out to me on shelf that I was interested in. So knowing that, you have consumers that in a place where there is so much choice, they're oftentimes open to that new trial. It can make it really exciting to be sitting in this category. So
Yeah.
yeah, for any questions, feel free to reach out to myself over LinkedIn, or I'm sure their contact details will be dropped in follow-ups here, but would love to chat further with anyone. Thanks so much for having
Yeah.
me, Chelsea. This was so fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. It was so fun. Thank you, all viewers, for joining us. Thank you so much to all of our speakers and moderators. We appreciate you so much sharing your incredible insights. And I hope you had as much fun participating as we did preparing for this session. So before I let you off the hook to go and grab your summer beverage of choice, if you did dip in and out throughout the event, don't worry. These sessions will be available on demand. Please keep an eye on your inbox. We'll be sending all of the recordings out for you to rewatch what you loved or share with your teammates and colleagues. And we'll be back with great more programming later this summer, both in July and in August. So be sure to keep up with Highlight on LinkedIn. That's the best place to follow us. And you can visit our website at letshighlight.com for a whole like 5 years worth of on-demand events just like this one. So thank you again, everyone. I hope you loved Highlight Spark and have a great rest of your week.